On the gridiron or courtside, you know what time it is. It's
Sports plus life. Sports plus life. Huh?
ringside or front court or field pass, we ballin' no. Knuckle up or buckle up, I tell it like it is when I'm on my show. Home run, slam dunk, knockout, or gossip though.
Sports plus life.
Yeah.
Sports plus life. Huh? Yo, 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 yo. What's up? What's really good? It's your boy Brandon Brevon Towns here for another episode of Sports Plus Life. And you guys already know what's going down today, bruh. So guess what? Guess what? Guess what? Let them know. Turn it on, turn it on, turn it all the way out, boy. Cut! Okay. Figure I'd do it that way this time, but please allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Brandon Brevon Towns. This here is another episode of Sports Plus Life, that there sports podcast where we talk about all the necessary hot topics in sports as well as the hot topics in life as needed. Well, we're still going through a pandemic. We got vaccines on the way, or vaccines that are here that are now being treated. Churn is getting ready to start back up with school, you dig? So hopefully we're getting some sort of normalcy or normality or whatever that word is that I might not be saying correctly. But it feels like things are trying to get back to normal, but when we can have public gatherings and people ain't worried about what the hell going on with the person beside them or across from them or behind them, then we'll feel back to normal. You know, I was talking with my bro Sean yesterday, and he was like, you know, even when the vaccines hit, we still going to be wearing masks for the rest of this year, probably next year too. And, you know, he's probably right. But when we able to do shit, when we able to do stuff in mass quantity without people being so paranoid outside, I guess, people in the state of Florida, because they don't care, then I guess we will be somewhat back to normal. You feel me? But anyway, I hope everybody is doing okay. Hope everybody is doing good. In the Richmond, VA, we've had it's been a bit of a winter wonderland. I did not do a podcast last week. I took a week off. Because there was a lot of stuff going on between we had a snowstorm and me I'm working through this snowstorm, and so yeah, I just kind of ended up just taking a break for the week, and but I'm back now, and you know, it is Tuesday, February 16th, 2021. We done got past Valentine's Day and all that other stuff. And I hope everybody had a great Valentine's Day. I hope I hope you guys listen to my YouTube thing called Valentine's Trap. It's just something silly. Just something silly that I did last year. And it's just me being me. But anyway, without further ado, people, let's get to it, bro. Trust me, I'm sending that to everybody for the foreseeable future on Valentine's Day, even if I am that dude who ain't getting no ass tonight, because in most cases, I am that dude. Anyway, so this is where we're going to start. I'm not even going to really detail the Super Bowl much, you know, since I didn't do a podcast last week. But what I did do a over hour-long Facebook Live where I say for the first 30 minutes I was talking about the game. So, I mean, it's pretty clear. Tampa Bay bum rushed Kansas City. You know, last time I did a podcast, I was feeling under the weather, so I only did about a 20-minute podcast. But I did call the Chiefs to win. I was wrong. If you recall, the week of the game, I had the podcast, and then I had the Sports Plus Life Talking Ish edition, where I had my man Sean and then my man Tony on. Both of them said that the Buccaneers were going to win. They were right. I was wrong. So I think either one of them were rooting for the Buccaneers to win, but they called it how they saw it. I was under the impression that Patrick Mahomes would be good enough to overcome the deficiencies of the offensive line. Patrick Mahomes was running for his life the entire game. Have to give the Tampa Bay Buccaneers credit. Now, you know everybody's going to be on Tom Brady's scrotum sickle because, yes, he has now technically won his 7th championship, and people are saying any type of debate for the GOAT, is now over with. Some people have even said that he is a greater athlete now, that he is better than Michael Jordan. And to that, I say, well, that's your opinion. To me, Tom Brady is still not the GOAT in my conversation. In my opinion, because I still take into account those first 3 Super Bowls where Spygate was going on, where they were clearly cheating and they were caught. Now, he has won 4 Super Bowls since then, so that's damn good. But like I said, everybody's going to ride his scrotum sickle when honestly who you need to be saluting is Todd Bowles in that defense. The most valuable player or person of Super Bowl 55 was Todd Bowles. That defense was tremendous. Tom Brady only threw for 201 yards. So he wasn't, he didn't lose it. He had 3 touchdown passes. He game managed. He played situational football great. Kansas City had a lot of penalties. Now, the first half officiating I thought was totally bogus. The officiating of the Super Bowl in the first half was awful, horrible. And then in the second half, the Bucks just took it right to the Chiefs, and they beat their ass. The biggest mistake to me of the game was Andy Reid calling timeout in the second quarter, right before halftime, when you could have just went into the half down 14-6. Instead, you call timeout. Tampa Bay converts on the first down, then converts on then gets a couple of bogus pass interference calls, but nonetheless, Andy Reid should have just went into he should have just went into halftime being down 8, getting the football back. So, but it is what it is. Like I said, congratulations to Tampa Bay. They won. They won, first team ever to host the Super Bowl, and they won. So kudos to them. They are now the reigning defending Super Bowl champions. But now, as we are going to do now when we talk about football, we're going to talk about what's next. What's the future? What's the draft going to look like? What free agency is going to look like? We've already had the big splash when it comes to the trade, Matthew Stafford for Jared Goff. So we've already gone there. We've already had that domino effect. I went into detail 2 weeks ago when the trade first happened on Sports Plus Life, as well as Sports Plus Life Talking Ish. So now let's see. We have trades that appear imminent. The Eagles say that they are going to deal Carson Wentz, but they are kind of waiting for the best offer. And I think they're actually waiting for somebody to offer them a number 1 for Carson Wentz, and that's not going to happen. God damn! That's not going to happen, because you could have got a number 1 for Carson Wentz after the 2019 season, yes. But after this past season that he just had, hell no. You ain't nobody giving up no first-round draft pick for Carson Wentz. I think the best offer that they had on the table thus far was from the Colts, 2 second-rounders and a third-rounder, if I'm not mistaken. That's about as good as you're going to get for Wentz, who clearly is on the decline, and who has regressed. I'm not going to sit here and say physically he's on the decline, but his play has regressed. Houston and Deshaun Watson appear to be at a stalemate. Deshaun has requested a trade. Houston is coming out public and saying that they are not going to trade him. Although I think they are. I think they're kind of just bluffing to see what the best offer is that they can get. And everybody thinks it's going to be 3 first-rounders. So I don't know. I don't think Deshaun will play another game as a Houston Texan, but you never know. The Houston Texans could be stubborn and say, hey, you're under contract. If you ain't playing with us, you're not playing anywhere. And in certain situations, I have been actually on that side of honor your contract, Now, I don't know what exactly has happened with Deshaun Watson, but it seems like this is something that is very, very personal. So in most situations, I've always been like, yo, honor your contract, you signed the contract, you got the guaranteed money, play the contract. If this is something that's personal, that makes it hard for you to look yourself in the mirror, then that's something different. And what I am also starting to realize, starting to notice, is that, you know, people have issues when a player wants out, you know, when a player wants to be traded, or, you know, they don't want to play for the organization that they play for anymore.
Bye, bitch.
And it's one thing that I even have to check myself at, is that, you know, while people might have an issue when a certain player wants out of an organization, but at the same time, a player might not want to be out of an organization, but the organization can release them at any time. And I'm particularly talking about the NFL. Now, the NFL is kind of starting to have a player empowerment movement that, you know, kind of like which the NBA has. And there are a lot of people who are against it, you know, a lot of people who are against it in the NFL. But while I am one who will say honor your contract, I will also sit here and say this: fair is fair. Let's not make exceptions for some, but then try to crucify others. Point of example, I have heard multiple people come at Deshaun Watson's neck for wanting to be traded from the Houston Texans, but at the same time, J.J. Watt last week asked for his release, and he was granted his release. Now, Captain America of the Houston Texans, the face of their franchise, the greatest defensive player they've ever had, asked for his outright release, and he was granted it, still a year left on his contract. But you are saying that you will not trade Deshaun Watson, and you have people coming at Deshaun Watson's neck for wanting to be traded. Let's be fair now. Let's be fair. The NFL can cut a player at any time. At any time. You know, even if they have to eat the dead money and they be put in cap space hell, they can cut ties with a player at any moment. So let's not be so quick to jump off of the hinges or jump down a player's throat when they say they want to be traded. Now, here's why I felt different about in the NBA about the James Harden trade, is because, one, James Harden was being unprofessional as shit. I mean, let's be real about it. James Harden came into training camp fat and out of shape. And in the midst of a pandemic, he was doing a lot of things that was not safe, going out to clubs, unmasked, strip clubs and whatnot. And then you're putting other people in harm's way because of, you know, the way that you're choosing to act because you're throwing a hissy fit. He was throwing basketballs at teammates at practice. James Harden acted like a spoiled little brat. That's why if I was the owner of the Houston Rockets, I'd have made his ass sit, just because of the way he was conducting himself. Now, I'm not trying to switch over sports just yet. Now, Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond having to sit is two totally different situations. But from the way James Harden was behaving, you know, and yeah, so that's why, to me, that situation is different than that of Deshaun Watson, you know, and I think Deshaun Watson is going to be traded to where, I don't know. We've talked about this. We've talked about what good landing spots would be. Me personally, I think the best landing places for him, you know, we know that he either wants to go to Miami or he wants to go to New York. To me, I think the best landing spots would be New Orleans. I don't think they can afford him, though, his contract, because they're in cap hell. They're probably going to have to deal with Jameis Winston. San Francisco, I think that would be a great landing spot. And Washington. I think Washington would be an awesome landing spot for him as well. So, you know, but we'll see. So, like, the quarterback carousel is going to be bananas. Like, unlike any of which that we've seen during an off season in the NFL. Like I said, Stafford has already been traded to the Lions. He's been traded from the Lions to the Rams for Jared Goff. Carson Wentz looks like a trade is imminent. There have been rumors swirling around about Matt Ryan, but Arthur Blank went on CBS Sports last week, the owner of the Atlanta Falcons, and said, no, we're not trading him. And I tend to believe it, because Matt Ryan, if you look at the Falcons last year in particular, Matt Ryan really wasn't the issue. The Falcons' defense was horrible. The Falcons could put up points with anybody. Their defense just stunk. It just stunk. I mean, it really did. We've heard rumors about Jimmy Garoppolo. I really think the 49ers really want to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. You know, it's like they're saying, okay, it's almost like, okay, if we have to deal with him, we will. But I've heard them trying to get Kirk Cousins. What the hell is so special about Kirk Cousins, man? I mean, for real. I've said this before. Kirk Cousins has the greatest agent in the history of sports, man. He really does. I mean, you know, and now Kirk Cousins' name is starting to be brought up a lot, not just because the potential landing spot of the 49ers, but the situation of Dak Prescott. Now, the reason why I don't sit here and talk about Dak Prescott's contract situation ad nauseum, and people will say, well, people who know me anyway will probably say, well, because you're a Cowboy hater.
Excellent.
Hey, I'm not going to deny that. I fucking can't stand the Dallas Cowboys and their annoying-ass fans. But what I can't stand the most is the attention that this team gets, and they're losers. I'm sorry. I don't care if they're the most valuable franchise in sports. They're losers. They haven't gotten it done in a quarter century, in 25 years. I was in middle school the last time the Dallas Cowboys won a Super Bowl. So I'm not going to sit here and talk about the contract of a player ad nauseum, particularly a player who, while he threw for a lot of yards, in his last 20 starts, going back to the entire 2019 season and the entire time that he played in the 2020 season before his unfortunate injury, his record was 9-11.
Biatch.
I'm not going to sit here and talk about a contract for a quarterback ad nauseum who, for the last 20 times he started a football game, he's lost more than he's won. I don't care what the name of the team is. And it's not like I said, Dallas wasn't in the Super Bowl last year or the year before. They weren't even in the conference championship game. But the reason why I'm, like I said, Kirk Cousins' name is being brought up, it's clear to me that Dallas doesn't truly believe that Dak Prescott is their franchise quarterback. I think for the Dallas Cowboys to think that Dak Prescott is truly their franchise quarterback, I think next season he has to take them at least to the conference championship game. And God knows I hope that doesn't happen because I don't like Dallas. It's that simple. Do I think that now? I'm going to be real with you. Dak is asking for $40 million a year. I would not pay Dak Prescott $40 million a year for the reasons of what I just said about his win-loss record over the last 20 games. I'm not paying you $40 million and you're below average. I don't care if you're throwing for 5,000 yards, if you threw for almost 5,000 yards or throwing for almost 500 yards a game. Yes, your defense stunk, but while teams were getting up by 28 points, you weren't helping the matter any by throwing interceptions, by fumbling the ball, by not coming up clutch on third downs. You had something to do with that too. You understand what I'm saying? Just because you're down 42-14 and you come back and make it 42-38, you still lost. All of those yards you threw for meant nothing. Like when the Steelers lost to the Cleveland Browns in the playoffs, Ben Roethlisberger threw for over 500 yards. It made it look more respectable than it actually was. Cleveland crushed Pittsburgh. Those 500 yards meant nothing. So I don't give a damn about Dak Prescott's situation, but if I was Dak, I would do the Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is a slightly above average NFL quarterback who, when his career is over, is going to come close to making almost $250 million. Do you guys know that? Do you know that? Kirk Cousins' last 2 years in Washington, he played under the franchise tag where he made about $50 million guaranteed money. Mind you, the franchise tag now is the franchise tag, what you would get per year, is a lot larger than it was 3-4 years ago when Kirk Cousins did it for 2 straight years. So he made almost $50 million off of franchise tag money, and then signed an $84 million contract fully guaranteed by the Minnesota Vikings, and then just signed another contract extension for over $60 million fully guaranteed dollars. Do you get what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? Kirk Cousins is what, 32 years old? in an era where quarterbacks now are going to be playing until they're early to mid 40s. By the time Kirk Cousins has almost made $200 million playing quarterback, and the dude has one playoff win to show for it. So you think Dak Prescott's not going to get his money? You're tripping. May not be from Dallas. I don't think it's from Dallas. It'll be from Dallas. But what he can do, he got a little over 31 million in the being franchise tagged last year. Only played 4.5 games. This year they franchise tag him. It'll be $37.7 million. That's almost $70 million. You'll make it 2 years, totally guaranteed money. You play this season. I wouldn't even look for a long-term deal from Dallas because somebody else will give you what you want, and you won't have to go through all the drama and all the bullshit worrying about hype videos and all of this other nonsense that the stupid-ass Cowboys and the stupid-ass media actually falls for. I mean, straight up. I'm being real. And when I have my man Tony on, we'll talk about that. But I mean, if I have anybody else on, I'm not gonna make that a topic of discussion because I don't care. Because they're not worth it. If this was Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers, if this was about their situation, okay, fine. This to me would be a way bigger story because you're talking about quarterbacks who've accomplished shit. I mean, you're talking about quarterbacks who have done something, organizations that have been either to the Super Bowl or on the cusp of going to the Super Bowl. That ain't Dallas. Biatch. Excuse me. That ain't the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm going to tell you right now, it ain't going to get no better for them next year.
We're going to kick your fucking ass.
It's not. It ain't going to get no better for them next year. Their schedule is murder next year. And I'm a Denver Bronco fan, and I'm an objective Denver Bronco fan. I've seen the teams we play on our schedule next year, and guess what? My Denver Broncos are going to suck. They're going to stink. As long as we got Drew Lock at quarterback, we ain't going nowhere. But I've looked at my Broncos schedule. I mean, so don't think that I'm just cherry picking on the Cowboys. They be like, what about your team? Look, I know my team is going to stink. We're going to stink. Aside from the Chiefs, Raiders, and Chargers, those combined for 6 games, we got the Ravens, loss. Bengals, maybe a win because I don't think Burrow's playing next season. Eagles, okay. That's another toss-up. Washington, I think Washington will beat us, even though it'll be in Denver. I think we'll beat the Jets. But road games, we got Steelers, loss. Browns, loss. Giants, probably loss. I think Dallas, we played Dallas in Dallas this year. Dallas hasn't beaten my Denver Broncos since 1995. So here, for you Cowboy fans that listen and say, oh, you're just a hater, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I hate your team's freaking guts, but I will say this, and I will say this now. The Cowboys will beat my Denver Broncos in the 2021 season. It'll be the first time they've done it since 1995. You don't believe me, look it up. But this year, yeah, my Broncos are going to stink. Dallas will beat us. We play Jacksonville, they might beat us too. But when we talk about America's team, which they're not, Dallas ain't going to have no better year. The NFC East is going to suck again. But you have the Falcons at home. Falcons will beat you this time. The Panthers are going to beat you. The Raiders are going to beat you. And the Cardinals are going to beat you. Those are 4 of your home games. Then you have to play at New Orleans, loss. At Tampa, loss. At Kansas City, loss. At the Chargers, loss. At the Vikings, probably loss. Come on, man. Dallas is going to stink again this season coming up. I'm just telling you that now. I'm telling you that right now. So, I don't give a damn about Dak Prescott's contract because this is going to be his last year in Dallas. Straight up. And Dallas is going to go 5-11, 6-10 again. And the only reason why they'll still be getting talked about come the next to the last week of the regular season is because the NFC East is going to suck again. They are. Ha! How you like me now? But yes, a lot of things being talked about in the world of quarterbacks. What's going to happen with Jimmy Garoppolo? Will he go? Will the Patriots try to get him back? What's going to happen with Cam Newton? Could Cam end up in Washington with Ron Rivera? Drew Brees still hasn't announced his retirement yet. He really needs to. Drew Brees is finished. So it's a lot. Now I'll get on to the NBA of the A. We're coming up, I guess in the next 3 weeks will be All-Star break. The talk of the NBA has been the Utah Jazz, as they've been killing. I mean, they've won 19 of their last 20 games. They have the best record in the league. And the real question with the Utah Jazz is, do you believe in them? Do you believe in them? Donovan Mitchell has shown, particularly last year in the playoffs, that he is a superstar. Donovan Mitchell has proven that he is a superstar. And so the question is, who is his running mate, the number 2 guy? Most people believe that it's Mike Conley because of the way that Mike Conley has been playing. He's a veteran. He's been a sturdy point guard. He's been a very good point guard. He's never made an all-star team. I think that's changing this year. But he has been paid like an all-star. And he is producing this year the way he was expected to produce last year. So, do you believe in Utah? It depends. It really depends. And what does it depend on with me? It depends on the health of Anthony Davis, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George. In particular, Anthony Davis, because Anthony Davis is on the horizons of a serious injury. He re-aggravated an Achilles injury the last time that the Lakers played the other night against the Denver Nuggets, and they're saying it's a calf strain. Why does this, you know what this sounds like? Kevin Durant.
Oh, hell no!
Remember in 2019, it started with a calf injury against the Houston Rockets in the second round of the playoffs. Literally missed a month. Came back a month later in the finals against the Raptors. We know the rest. Ruptured the Achilles, was out of basketball for 18 months. If I'm the Lakers, I'm seriously considering sitting Anthony Davis, if not for the rest of the season, at least to the playoffs. Because right now, they're saying he's out for at least the next 2 to 3 weeks. He'll be out past the All-Star break. But if you want, because if Anthony Davis comes back in a month and has the same type of injury that Kevin Durant has, you're screwed.
God damn!
You're not only screwed for the rest of this season, he ain't gonna play next season either. So if I'm the Lakers, I am seriously considering just shutting Anthony Davis down at least until the playoffs. Maybe not the rest of the season, but come on now. If you had the choice, do you sit Anthony Davis down for the rest of this season and just to make sure that he's 100% healthy next season? Like I said, I wouldn't take it that far. I would sit him down for the rest of the regular season, because the Lakers are going to get to the playoffs. Obviously, they're the second seed, have the second best record in the league. So I would seriously consider sitting him down for the rest of the regular season and having him come back in the playoffs. Because, look, you ain't winning no title without Anthony Davis. It just is what it is. I know we know the heroics of LeBron, and particularly that 2018 squad where it was LeBron and castaways. You still had Kevin Love, but you had Larry Nance Jr. and Jordan Clarkson and stuff. You had castaways. But that was the East. The Lakers will not get out the West without Anthony Davis. I'm telling you that right now. Because now you're talking about a LeBron James that's 3 years older and 3 years more mileage on the old tires. So to me, I have to see Utah's legitimacy through what happens with the health of 3 other players. Because Kawhi and Paul George, they're gonna be all right. I still think the Clippers have the best chance to beat the Lakers. That's with AD. Without AD, the Clippers will take them out. I think Utah would take them out. The Nuggets would take them out. Maybe the Phoenix Suns could possibly take them out. Have you seen the way they've been playing lately? And yeah. So do I think the Utah Jazz are legit? Their record right now says so. But I have to look at them, based on what I see happening with the two teams in Los Angeles. Because I still think the two teams in Los Angeles are better than Utah, particularly when both of those teams from Los Angeles are fully squatted up. I believe that. I truly believe that. So we will definitely have to see. Now, as far as the Eastern Conference is concerned, a lot of people have put the Brooklyn Nets in, as a lock. To me, they need to make a move when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. I know that they just signed Andre Roberson, and he is primarily a defensive player, so that will help. Kevin Durant, after the whole COVID nonsense, he's dealing with a hamstring issue, which I think he'll be fine. I think they'll lose tonight. They play the Phoenix Suns tonight, particularly. I just heard that Kyrie Irving has been ruled out because of back issue. So you're really now just left with James Harden and no defense. So I think Phoenix will win. That's a fantasy lover's dream. I wish Kyrie was playing. I had him on my FanDuel squad, but instead I had to replace him. I replaced him with Chris Paul because the Nets defense is trash. So I had a lot of players picked from Phoenix. But I did have Kyrie, James Harden, and Joe Harris on the Nets pick because that's going to be a game scored in the high 100s. There's still going to be a bunch of points scored in that game. But, yeah, so the East, to me, the East is based on two things. The East is based on, one, do the Brooklyn Nets find some defense? And two, the health of Joel Embiid for the Philadelphia 76ers. If Joel Embiid is healthy, he probably wins the MVP this year. Real talk. Unless LeBron has the Lakers in perhaps the number one spot in the West without Anthony Davis. If the Philadelphia 76ers finish with the top record in the East, I think Joel Embiid will win MVP. And if he stays healthy and Brooklyn doesn't find any defense, they have a great chance to go to the finals. Now, it's going to be hard to score with Brooklyn because when you got all three of those superstar scoring talents, it's going to be hard to beat them regardless. I'm going to be honest with you. If Brooklyn finds a shred of defense, I have them winning the whole thing. I do. Because if those three stay on the floor together and healthy, and what you have seen now is any questions of who is going to sacrifice out of those three, they've been answered. James Harden, while he's listed as a shooting guard, he is the point guard. Kyrie Irving is playing the position of off guard, what he needs to do. James Harden, now, I like this version of James Harden because he's not the number one option. I've said this before, I'll say it again and again and again. If James Harden is your number one option, you're not winning a championship. You're not. But James Harden being the third option, I think the Nets are going to win the championship. I really do. I really, really do. Because Kevin Durant can put up 40 points taking just 20 shots. I'm being honest with you. And Kyrie Irving, you just want him to just stay focused on basketball while it's the season going, because who is more exciting than Kyrie Irving? Oh my God. Did you see him last night? 40 points. Oh my goodness. So it's almost getting about time for me to truly get into NBA mode, because now football is over. Free agency is going to be something crazy with football, but the NBA is tightening up, but is, like I said, the whole balance, the league balance of power could be seriously shifted if Anthony Davis gets seriously hurt. And the Lakers are playing with fate right now. I really believe they just need to shut him down for the rest of the regular season. That's just me. That's just me. So, with that being said, folk, with a buzzer. Did I get into Urban Meyer's dumb decision to hire Chris Doyle, who not there long after resigned because of the racial issues that he had at the University of Iowa, where he was let go and literally paid over $1 million to stay away. No, I didn't, because what else is there to say about that other than that simply reeks of white privilege. Not even trying to be racial, but it is what it is. You know, is Urban Meyer, who I actually, as a college football coach, that I'm a fan of, but him being tone deaf, blind, and trying to look out for one of his good old boys who has issues with other races. So, and the reason why I brought that up is because, particularly the privilege thing, I don't know if you guys have HBO Max or went to the theaters. Did you guys? And I don't know if you guys have seen Judas and the Black Messiah. Yes, Judas and the Black Messiah. You know, that movie was heavy, very heavy. And it's the story of Fred Hampton, who was the leader of the Chicago district of the Black Panther Party, and the story of Fred Hampton and the man William O'Neill, or AKA Bill, Wild Bill, whatever you want to call him, the man who was hired by the FBI to be FBI informant, infiltrate the Black Panther Party, work his way up, rise to power in that organization, and, to keep himself from going to jail. And that ultimately led to the murder of Fred Hampton. So, like I said, that movie was heavy, very heavy, but it was one part in this movie that really got me. And it just made me think, even made me laugh, when J. Edgar Hoover, the leader of the FBI at the time, said that the biggest threat in America, the biggest threat to the United States of America, was the Black Panther Party. Even more so than China, even more so than Russia. And the reason why I laughed is because China and Russia, even at that point in time in the 60s, had weapons of mass destruction, but they were not seen as big a threat as the Black Panther Party. And I was just like, wow. And that came from J. Edgar Hoover, who in films and biographies, documentaries that I've seen, was quite a racist prick himself. But it's crazy because the hate for us, for black people in America, was so real that if they thought that blacks would rise to power in the country, it would be a seismic change in the government. And that was a bigger threat than a couple of countries who could have dropped bombs on us and killed millions. No. That's not a threat. These black people organizing and demanding equality. And that's what the black people was doing. Black people demanding equality was the biggest threat in America. In America. Like, wow. Because if you watch the movie, you saw, and if you haven't watched the movie, I'm not trying to do any spoiler alerts, but basically, he was organizing rival gangs, even those who were white. Even those who were white and repping the Confederate flags, they were all forming a union, and it was mostly led by Fred Hampton. And this is what I've told people before. There's something inside of me that would love to kind of join the fight that still goes on today. And I have joined it in my own way, not for racial issues, because, you know, if you know me, you know that I'm not a racist. Not on anything anti-white, but more or less pro-black, because it's 2021, and over the past 4 years, we've taken a step back. We've taken about a 50, 60-year step back outside of social media. But this is one thing that you have to understand. This is one thing that I've explained to people. When you are black and in America, and you have a voice that is so powerful, where not only does it galvanize black people, but it galvanizes other races, not just white, but other races, Hispanic, Indian, Asian. It galvanizes other races together as one. You are seen as a threat. You are seen as a target. You will be followed by the FBI. You know, I mean, this is what they did to Martin Luther King. This is what they did to Malcolm X. This is what they did to Fred Hampton. I mean, it's what they did to the Black Panthers. And, you know, to hear the, you know, the cop who hired William O'Neill to infiltrate the Black Panther Party say that the Black Panthers are no different than the Ku Klux Klan. That's another thing that made me laugh. I'm like, what? Are you serious? They're no different than the Ku Klux Klan, but the FBI wasn't following the Ku Klux Klan. They was following the Black Panthers. What sense did that make? I'm like, you know, this is something, man. This is crazy. This is crazy. And like I said, I'm not speaking any anti-white talk or anything like that. I'm speaking what is factually put in front of my face, the information that I'm seeing. And the information that I'm seeing and that I've learned, particularly over my time on this earth, particularly over the last 10, 15 years, as I've opened my eyes and paid attention, is that black people, when they look at, when you actually sit there and try to make sense of the rights and the laws of this country and by the Constitution and how they really haven't applied to us, when you speak out against that, you are seen as a threat just because you want a level playing field. No, nobody was saying, no, we're going to take over the country. We're going to take over the country. We're going to be the masters and y'all are going to be the slaves. No, we're saying we wanted to be treated equal. And we've been made to feel so wrong for that. How can, I mean, if you're a person with a conscience, or I mean, unless you're a person, even a black person who was born with a silver spoon in their mouth, how can you miss that? Because there are actually several black people out there who miss that. And it's not me saying that to start any trouble, but it's like, yo, we need everybody, not just black people, but everybody to be on one accord, because unfortunately, there's always going to be people out there who think they're superior because of the color of their skin. And that's just wrong. And what these people were fighting for and what these people got killed for was because they wanted equality. Judas and the Black Messiah, man. It's a trip. It is such a trip. You know, I've watched that. Over the past couple of weeks, I've watched Selma, you know, and it's just like, yo, it's just crazy. It's like unbelievable. I mean, but I can't even say unbelievable because it's believable because it's been happening for centuries. So that's what I wanted to say in regards to that movie, as far as the life segment of my my podcast. So, you know, and I am on Instagram Live right now. I'm about to get off. So anyway, oh my goodness. I'm sorry. When I think about that, it gets me. It does. It gets me. But it is your boy, Brandon Brevon Towns. This has been another episode of Sports Plus Life. Trust me, I'm not going to take another week off unless I'm on vacation. But I hope everybody is safe. I hope everybody is okay. Still, everybody out there, be safe, be cool. If you have not yet hit that subscription button, definitely hit that subscription button and become part of the Sports Plus Life Familia. I'm out this bill. Peace.